listening to America at Night with McGraw Milhaven.
My Aunt Eileen's favorite segment of the week is Bill Cleveland. Bill on the Road, BillOnTheRoad.com. Good morning, Bill.
Aunt Eileen, is that the one that lives in California?
Aunt Eileen lives in California. She is your one true fan.
She invited me over for breakfast or something, right?
She invited you to stay at her house. She hasn't even invited me to stay at her house.
Well, all right. I could be the nephew she always wanted. Great.
All right, Bill Cleveland, where are you and what are we talking about this week?
Well, I thought we'd do a little summer vacation thing here and talk about some great museums for folks to visit in the Midwest. I have spent a good chunk of my life in the Midwest, and in talking to folks who are on the East Coast and the West Coast, sometimes they just think there's absolutely nothing but farmland and I don't know, lakes or whatever. They don't know what the heck is in the Midwest. So I thought I'd share a few great ideas for folks to let folks know there are some cool things to see in the
Believe
Midwest.
it or not, it's not, after you cross the Hudson River, the next stop isn't L.A. There's a whole bunch of great things to do between New York and L.A.
Yeah, you bet. And so some of the things I'll just mention, I just put a post up at BillOnTheRoad.com. It's front and center for folks who want to check it out. But one of the places is in the great state of Ohio, and it's called the American Sign Museum. And this is one of my favorite museums. McGraw, you walk into this place and you need to be wearing sunglasses because the amount of neon that hits your face when you walk through the front door is something that is just absolutely undescribable. But essentially, there's a guy there who he owned a magazine for a long time dedicated to signs. I think it was called like Sign of the Times Museum or something like that. And it was for enthusiasts and also people who worked on these, old neon signs and things like that. But anyway, he amassed this huge collection of signs. And I mean, not just neon signs, but just, signs that, were, essentially like along the highways of America throughout, history. And it is just this neat history museum as you walk along and you see this, like this gigantic old original, like McDonald's neon sign from the early 1960s, or, the gigantic Howard Johnson marquee sign, and just all kinds of cool stuff. But this place, it is an underrated attraction in Cincinnati, Ohio, to be sure. It's so super cool.
All right. The Neon Sign Museum in Cincinnati. What else you got?
Well, talking about a little bit of history. So for folks who may have thought, well, there's absolutely nothing to see or do in the state of Nebraska, boy, do I have something for you.
Hey, now go easy. Go easy. Go Big Red.
Well, it's funny, quick side note here. Nebraska, up until a couple of years ago, their tourism sign or their tourism slogan was honest to God, it was Nebraska, it's not for everyone. That was their yeah. So I mean, they know. But Buffalo Bill spent part of his life there in Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska, and I loved this place. You can go through Buffalo Bill's home. It's where he lived when he was like at his peak, when he was doing these Wild West shows. And you walk through the house. You can go through his bedroom and through his living room and the kitchen and the whole 9 yards. And then they have, the ranch is still there because he had a working ranch of 4,000 acres. But he lived here during like the late 1880s. And so you walk through his house, you can see a lot of his belongings and some of the cool stuff like from the Wild West shows, like, signage and like what would be like marketing stuff from back then. It's really, really neat. 18-room Victorian style house, open for tours, North Platte, Nebraska.
So you're not a golfer, are you? You're not
no,
a golfer,
sir,
right?
Not a golfer.
So just north of North Platte, Nebraska, about 35, 40 minutes, there's a golf course. It's called the Sandhills. And it is considered one of the finest golf courses the world has ever created. And Jordan and Charles Barkley used to go out and play there all the time. And so they wanted to build a landing strip next to the Sandhills. And the town said no. No, no. This is pristine land. You're not going to ruin it with an airstrip. So they had to fly into North Platte and then take the limo up to the Sandhills. And so you'd
Ah.
always hear these stories that Jordan and Charles Barkley were in town having lunch at the local, cafeteria while they were waiting for their
Yeah.
plane to gas up because they just finished playing golf.
Well, I will tell you, I went to North Platte, I think 2, 3 years ago, and was not expecting much of anything. It really is a lovely little town.
Yeah,
It's a really neat place.
yeah. It's a
Um,
railroad
I
town.
we
Yeah.
may we may have talked about this before, but this is a great museum in the Midwest. It's called the Volo Museum. So it used to be just a car museum, and by just a car museum, I mean it is a huge collection of classic cars and unique vehicles. And the thing that attracted me was they had the car from National Lampoon's Vacation, one of my favorite movies of all time, the family truckster that Clark Griswold was in, where when they made that wrong turn into North St. Louis and the guys wrote honky lips on the side of the car. They've got it. It's right there. It's on display. And they've also got like the car from Greece and, Back to the Future and all this stuff. And this may not have been a thing when you were a kid, but there used to be a thing called Showbiz Pizza, and they were famous for their animatronic band that would play. If you know anything like Chuck E. Cheese, right? This predates Chuck E. Cheese, and they have one of these original 1980s. They were called the Rockafire Explosion. That was the name of the band that was at Showbiz Pizza, and they have one at the Volo Museum in Volo, Illinois. It is awesome. Somebody listening was born in the '80s that remembers Showbiz
You
Pizza.
must think
Get
you
together.
must think I'm 97 years old.
Well, but you were
I
not I'm an '80s baby,
I lived
born in
I
1980.
graduated high school in 1985, so I'm smack.
Okay.
I am hair parted right down the middle. MTV. I am an MTV baby, but I
Okay.
do not remember Showbiz Pizza. So maybe it was a
Okay.
Midwest thing.
Could have been. Could have been.
Yeah.
Another great Midwestern one, Wonders of Wildlife. This is in Springfield, Missouri. And this has been ranked like one of the best tourist attractions in America, like for several years in a row, at least when it first opened. It's one of the Johnny Morris properties. It's right next to the original Bass Pro Shop down there in Springfield. And I have been to a lot of aquariums around the country, a lot of good aquariums. This place, to me, best in the country. It is a phenomenal aquarium. It's 1.5 million gallons. It's just really a neat place. Not only do they have the aquarium, they also have this I don't know what you would call it, like a wildlife museum. And so you walk through this thing, and it's like you're walking through the world essentially, and you'll go into all of these super realistic dioramas. And so it's like you're standing next to all of these animals that would be present in different parts of the world. And it is just so well done. But it's in Springfield, Missouri. It's called Wonders of Wildlife. And yeah, it's right next to the original Bass Pro Shop there.
Yeah, well, Bass Pro Shop never does anything. I mean, they always do it first class, so sounds like a good one.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. What else you
Absolutely.
got?
Wichita, Kansas is home to the Old Cowtown Museum. And some cities do this. Some towns do these old cow towns where you're walking through like, a bunch of old historic buildings. But to me, this place is the best. It's got 50 different reconstructed historic buildings. You got the saloon, you got the old time pharmacy. And then, depending on the time of the year, you've actually got like actors walking around dressed apart, and they'll tell you about how 1880s Kansas was, and walk you through the different buildings. And there's a guy doing, oh gosh, what is that? Where they're making the things for the horses, the horseshoes and all this. It's cool. And if you have kids, they'll learn a lot about like the old times, before cell phones and iPads. That they'll be shocked that life existed before before technology was around. But that was in Wichita, Kansas. It's called the Old Cowtown Museum.
All right,
And
hold on a second.
okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I'm on
Okay.
BillOnTheRoad.com, and I'm following along as you're going through
Oh,
these.
okay.
And
Yeah.
I see this lovely picture of this town, Old Cowtown in Wichita, Kansas, and it looks really cool. But if you look a little deeper, it looks like there are some light posts with some light bulbs in them. That doesn't really fit the 1880s motif.
you know, you're always looking for a controversy. I don't know what it is with you. Every week, a controversy. I don't know. You can call the mayor, I suppose.
Okay.
I don't know who put the light bulbs in.
I mean, they
Uh,
look like they're. I mean, I don't know. Are they gas or are they filament or I don't know. But it looks like an old or a new type of lamppost. So LED
well,
lighting in this.
1880s, would they have had? It would have been gas lights back then, right?
I mean,
1880s.
did they have gas companies back then? I don't know.
Oh man, you're killing me. All
All
right,
right.
moving right along, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Metropolis, Illinois. Have you been to Metropolis?
I have not, but I've heard about this place.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, so the Super Museum. So if you like Superman, really, even if you don't like Superman, it's a really fun museum. The main attraction in town, though, is this gigantic Superman. It's the world's largest Superman statue, and apparently back in the day, they wanted to build a theme park, all about Superman. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like in the 70s, and then they got all the okays, and then the economy collapsed, and then nobody could afford to put together this theme park because they wanted this gigantic like Superman. You'd like drive under his legs into the theme park, and they had all these big plans. Anyway, well that all fell apart. But they do have the world's largest Superman statue and a really cool Superman museum. Collectibles and statues and all sorts of neat stuff. And they've got a statue of Lois Lane down the street and murals and all kinds of stuff. So it's a fun little quirky stop if you're driving through Southern Illinois, and it's called the Super Museum.
Was it Metropolis before it? Did they take the name from Superman, or did Superman take Metropolis from Illinois?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, the town was there before Superman, so but I don't know that
Okay,
they
all right.
necessarily stole that name from them for the
Okay, all
comic
right.
books. Yeah.
Good to know.
This next one is truly one of my favorite top 10 museums in the entire country, and it is the United States Air Force Museum, and it's in Dayton, Ohio, and it's the largest and oldest military aviation museum in the world. It's phenomenal. There's four gigantic hangars. They have all these great, you see all the military aircraft. They even have like an original like Wright Flyer that the Wright brothers designed because they're in Dayton. That's the home of the Wright brothers. And
Yeah.
then that's really cool. But at the kind of end of your experience in the fourth hangar, they have a presidential aircraft hangar. So they've got, I want to say it's 8, maybe it's 10 different aircraft that were used by presidents, including a retired Air Force One. And so you walk through the Air Force One, it's pretty neat. And then kind of a historical tidbit, it would have been the Air Force One that was used by to bring JFK's body back from Dallas after he
Oh,
was
wow.
assassinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty wild to be able to walk through that and see an
So
Air Force One.
you can
in person.
walk through the plane that took JFK's body back to Washington after it was shot in Dallas.
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty wild. Yeah, it was
Wow.
a plane that Lyndon Johnson took the oath of
Yeah.
office on.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
famous
I
picture
think
with
7 or 8. Yeah,
the famous
7
picture
or 8 presidents used it.
where she's the pink dress where it's all splattered with his blood, and she's standing next to Lyndon B. Johnson taking the
Yeah.
taking the oath of office. I read about this in a book. Did I read about this in a book?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I think it was Presidential Road Trips. Who
Oh.
wrote that book?
Oh, good segue. That was nice.
Yeah.
That is in Presidential Road Trips. Yes, thank you for the
Okay.
plug. Yeah.
All right,
Sorry,
real quick.
a little late
Let's
to be
get
following around.
let's get to two more here. What's this Children's Museum of Indianapolis?
Well, if you have kids, I will, and I have friends that have kids, and I've always told them this is the coolest children's museum in the entire country. Children's Museum of Indianapolis, 5 floors. You walk in, the first thing you see is a gigantic transformer. I think it's Bumblebee, the yellow one. It's massive. Cool, like dinosaur displays. They've got a thing like where you're in a like a space shuttle kind of thing you go through. Lots of pop culture references. I think the last time I was there, they had an exhibit that had the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the golden ticket. Remember the golden ticket they
Yeah,
had from the
sure,
movie?
yeah.
They had one of those. I mean, always neat like exhibits and things like that. So Children's Museum of Indianapolis.
All right, good.
The
All
last
right.
one. Which one do you want me to do? We out of time?
I got about 2 minutes left. You can do a minute
Okay.
for each one of them.
Yeah, sure. One of them, my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri, the City Museum. I don't even know how to describe this place. It's a repurposed shoe factory. It's crazy. Like if you look at the picture at BillOnTheRoad.com, you'll see there's a school bus on the roof. There's a Ferris wheel on the roof. There's like slides inside this place, caves that your kids can crawl through. Check it out. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. Truly.
Not only is the school bus on the roof, the school bus is cantilevered over the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So it
an
is
important
hanging. It is
distinction.
hanging over the wall. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't park
Yeah.
underneath it. And then the last one I'll mention, you need to see this because it's about to close. It's in Kansas City, Missouri. It'll only be there through November. But it's called the Arabia Steamboat Museum. And if we have time in a future segment, we'll have to talk about this place because it's a fascinating story. It's about this family that found a crashed steamboat from 1856, and they ended up digging it up under a farm field in Kansas. And they recovered all the stuff from the ship. Like it was all in like mint condition because it had been under the ground for 100 years. And it's all on display at this museum in Kansas City. It's called the Arabia Steamboat Museum.
Wow, we got to spend more time on that. That sounds really good.
It
Also,
is really neat.
Also, while you're in Kansas City, the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame is one of the greatest museums you'll ever see.
Absolutely, that one's very cool.
That is really good, and it's right next to a really good barbecue joint too. So you can go see the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame, and then go have some great barbecue. There you go.
All right.
Any book signings around the country we should know about there, Bill Cleveland?
Let's see. Got a couple coming up. Edwardsville, Illinois next week. Washington, Missouri. I'll be at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum in Springfield in a couple of weeks. And then let's see, in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Benjamin Harrison Presidential Home doing a book signing. So, yeah, got some good stuff coming up.
Rocking and rolling at the Benjamin Harrison Presidential Library. Man, you're having way too much fun this summer. BillOnTheRoad.com. BillOnTheRoad.com. Bill, happy trails, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thanks, man.
Okay, see you.
Good stuff.